Good Sunday evening, and thank you for joining us for News 13 at 6:30. I'm Adriana Cotero. Major breaking news today coming out of our nation's capital as our president, Joe Biden, has announced he is dropping out of the 2024 presidential race, but plans to finish his term. You just saw dozens showing their support while holding signs up that read "Justice for Micah," the local woman who investigators say committed suicide back in April. First at 6, the post-storm effects of Debbie are raising concerns across both Carolinas. My goodness, it sure is busy out there for the fourth and final day of the Carolina Country Music Fest, and those tens of thousands of country fans have been swarming this area since Thursday. Good Sunday evening, and thank you for joining us for News 13 at 6:30. I'm Adriana Cotero. As you just saw, it is the final day of the Carolina Country Music Fest. We began with breaking news. A body was found this afternoon near Sandy Island. Guys, can I just say, I'm loving the weather this week. Right? Oh, yeah. It feels like fall, it feels like football season. We know we're getting into that, and I know you're going to tell us all about what we can expect this weekend, James.
Yeah, and I hate to be a spoiler, but this is the reason why they call it fake fall. Because, fall is still a ways away.
I know. And for the first time in years, students at some schools will be served a hot breakfast in the school cafeteria this year. Good morning, Melissa and Taylor. It's a celebration featuring Carolina Select oysters and local artwork to support the downtown revitalization of the Arts and Innovation District. And if it's too hot outside, well, here's a new indoor activity for you. An immersive art experience is officially open at Broadway at the beach. It's called Beyond Van Gogh, and I got a firsthand look earlier this week. Take a look. It's time to pull out these special glasses because in less than 24 hours, the Carolinas will experience a partial solar eclipse. And I can't see anything right now, but here to tell us what we can expect to see is meteorologist Hannah Ronner. Did you hear that? Woodle bowls. So wheat noodle bowls. And I gotta say, when I was there yesterday for this story, they gave me a lunch to go, and it was chicken bog. And I was like, I don't remember my school lunches being this delicious and so impressive.
I remember cardboard pizza and hamburgers where the bun is stuck to the meat.
I know. I was like, all right, HCS, you guys are doing it right.
I hope the kids like it.
And it was good. Let me tell you that. I ate the chicken bog. It was good.
All bad for USC and Coastal, but good for Clemson fans.
And Michigan fans. Go blue, baby.
Adriana, what's your favorite thing to eat at brunch? Are you more savory or do you like the sweet dishes?
Can I say a mimosa? Tonight we continue with our After Debbie coverage as communities continue to battle with the rising floodwaters more than a week after Tropical Storm Debbie swept across the Carolinas, but relief is slowly coming. I'm standing in the middle of all the damage. You can see pieces of the roof scattered along the entrance of this building. And I just want to note, these aren't just a few pieces. There are hundreds of pieces here on the ground, some small, some big. And if you look up here, we're heading up towards the top of the building. You can see the sign completely ripped off. You also see the entire roof peeling off right now as we're speaking, and the wood exposed as well. And surrounding areas of Fantasy Harbor and River Oaks experienced significant damage from the storm. 132 PGA golfers are hitting the links today for round 2 of the Myrtle Beach Classic. And many of them, just a few steps away, are already practicing right here on the putting green behind me. Now, a lot of their top fans are coming from all over to see the action. Today is Cinco de Mayo, the 5th of May, a day that calls for Mexican food and a fiesta. That's when streetlights were completely down, the wind was picking up quickly, there was significant flooding, and I must say it was pretty scary out there. I just remember thinking that the car was going to flip over and I was holding onto the wheel so tightly. And I just want to say that this roof and these trucks that you saw blown over are just a few examples of how significant and intense the wind gusts were today. Reporting live in Fantasy Harbor, Adriana Cotero, News 13. I'm here in the Cherry Grove area where the tornado hit last night, and winds are very strong here right now. We're also experiencing some rain, and I'm actually going to step out of the frame here so you can see this house behind me where the roof was completely blown away last night during the storm. In this special report of Behind the Menu, I follow a massive rate hike for restaurants and bars throughout the state. It's the rise in liquor liability costs imposed by the state that has skyrocketed over the past 3 years, and more so in the last few months. Restaurant and bar owners and other venue managers say if change doesn't come soon, it could devastate business on the Grand Strand. Hypothetically, if someone goes to a handful of establishments throughout the day, along the way decides to go to brunch and has one single mimosa at brunch. Then that person carries on with the day, bar hopping some more to making a final stop and having multiple drinks at a bar. So is the restaurant that served that one mimosa at brunch just as liable as the last establishment that served them, let's say, 8 drinks before getting behind the wheel? Currently in South Carolina, the answer is yes.
And we want to make sure that when these things happen, that the responsibility is going to lie with the guilty party, not just a smattering of businesses that could be liable.
And while some businesses may settle outside of court, there may be an establishment
That served somebody one mimosa at breakfast and they're still on the hook for that entire minimum amount.
in South Carolina. That minimum is a $1 million policy. In 2017, state legislators passed a law requiring establishments with liquor licenses to purchase at least $1 million worth of liquor liability coverage. This legislation was passed in response to an incident where a drunk driver without insurance left a bar, which also did not have insurance, and the driver crashed into a Dillon police officer, ultimately causing devastating injuries. And in the past year or so, businesses are experiencing a major spike in the premium.
Really caused a lot of hardship on local bars and restaurants. Significant cost. You make 50 cents on a canned beer and you got to give everything away at the end of the day.
Owner of Route 17 Roadhouse in Myrtle Beach, Bubba Owen, says this year the cost has tripled. And that's without being hit with any claims.
I know some places here in Myrtle Beach is $40,000, $45,000 a year just for liquor liability. And it's just, now these riders are not writing no more.
As a new problem is also arising.
I've been called probably in the last 3 weeks about where I might get my insurance. And I was sharing a company with a lot of people, and that company has gone double on us, and they quit writing some policies.
Myrtle Beach Area Hospitality Association Executive Director Victoria Tobin says the number of insurance carriers for hospitality businesses has definitely decreased.
There used to be, I think, over 30 carriers that were writing policies in South Carolina. It is now less than 10, probably closer to 5.
And it's not just places with large bars. There's roughly 2,000 restaurants, 425 hotels, and 90 championship golf courses that add to the Grand Strand's hospitality industry. Mix in clubs or concert venues, if any serve alcohol, even if it's only 6 seats at its bar, like here at Dayton House Resorts, well, they too must pay a cost.
The plight of restaurants and hotels needs to be taken seriously. And it's not just a restaurant and hotel issue. It is an entire state issue.
Dayton House Resort has been open since 1970. Managing Director Paul Garcia says for this property in the last 12 months, it's experienced a 220% rate increase.
That's not sharing with you what the other years have been. And in the other years, all of a sudden we had to change companies because they wouldn't insure us. The initial one wouldn't insure us. For what? For no reason.
Working in tighter margins, Garcia says, like many others in the industry, it's been crippling and crushing to the point many cannot afford the growing costs and have had to change their business models, or worse, close its doors.
There's no ceiling to this unless we take action, and we take action immediately.
Now, legislation was introduced in Columbia early this year to amend the law. However, there's been little to no movement, and the legislature is not back in session until next year. In the meantime, the industry shares this message to lawmakers.
Help us. Help us all you can, because it's bad. It's really bad.
I would share with them that it is critical for South Carolina. We are pro-business, pro-employee. We've always been that. There has to be a way that they can meet and protect the customer and protect the businesses and the citizens. They need to do something immediately.
Come the new year, all eyes will be on that legislation in hopes of finding a common ground that everyone can hoist a toast to. it's honestly truly remarkable. You feel like you're stepping inside one of Van Gogh's paintings, and I'm talking like artworks that we've all heard about and know about, such as Starry Night. And I have this special guest here who I believe is probably just as in awe as me, if not more. We have Fanny Kurtat, and Fanny is an art historian. And Fanny, tell me a little bit about what people can experience when they walk and enter through this, because I know it's a whole lot.
You're right, and it's a bit hard to describe. When you are in immersive experience, you need to be in it to feel it. It is about everything moving around you. It is about this blend of technology with Vincent's work that allows the audience to literally be in the middle of it. Everything sways around you. You're inside some paintings that are familiar, some that maybe people will discover, but it is something that has to do with the way you move in the space, with everything flowing around you. It's so alive. You don't need much to bring Vincent's work to life. It's already so vivid, it's already so bright, so dynamic, but to be inside of it while everything moves is just magic.
This is just a level up. This is just next level here. And you're an art historian, over 300 pieces of artwork, I mean famous artwork, blended together in this. So I have to ask you, what are some of your favorite moments? I'm dying to know myself.
There are so many, but there is one particular painting that's called Almond Blossom that Vincent did when his nephew was born. And it's this beautiful backdrop of blue, baby blue, with these beautiful almond blossom, beautiful white flower. And it's just a good example of how we associate Vincent with the darkness of his life. We associate him with the ear cutting incident, with struggling poverty, mental illness issues. And all of these things are true to a certain extent, but that's not what you see when you look at his work. It's the work that celebrates life itself, that celebrates the healing quality of nature, the power of color, and you see it so brightly in this beautiful, bright painting that celebrates the new life of his nephew coming to the world. And I think it's a good example of what we're trying to do with Beyond Van Gogh, going beyond the myth and showing just how powerful the work is in and of itself.
Definitely some powerful work, and I love the way you're just describing everything. I just feel like I'm even more so in all of this. And tell me a little bit about why you believe, because I have to ask, but Starry Night, why is that one of his famous ones? And even sunflowers, what are those symbolic of?
So Starry Night is one of the most striking painting he did, and we keep forgetting that it's a nightscape. It's so bright, it's so beautiful, but it is incredible to have such a vivid perception of nature, and I think people sense this sort of almost sacredness that he infused in nature. There's something awe-inspiring about nature to him, and you have this incredible flame-like cypress tree reaching the sky, these beautiful rolling star, rolling energy. I think people can relate to that, can relate to this beautiful landscape and how healing it is. And he really infused everything with the symbolic nature. The sunflower for him represents life. It's the flower that turns towards the sun. It's the flower of gratefulness. Yellow is the flower, the color of gratefulness because of that. So people, I think, react to just this sensitive way of looking at nature and the power that it has. And it's just a good example of how lasting his work is, how still relevant it is for our 21st century experience.
All right, and before I send it back to the desk, how long will this exhibit and this experience be here in Myrtle Beach?
It'll be here until September 22nd. All of the information can be found on beyondvangogh.com, and I highly encourage everybody to see it. It's great for kids, for all generations. It's just unique.
Definitely. All righty. Well, thank you, Fanny, and thank you all. And like she said, you can go to Beyond Van Gogh, which there's also a link on WBTW.com right now for ticket sales. I'm going to go ahead and send it back to you, Melissa.